check. 1, 2. All right. The 390s. Well, let's actually talk about the channel for a minute. I've been having fun with it. Like I say, I just record the stuff that I'm doing out here. And so it really doesn't take me any time. Like, I'm not coming up with content or curriculum or anything like that. This is not, like I say, this is not even a how-to. It's just what I'm doing. And then we can look at the cylinder and then we can go cut with it and see, well, that's what happens if you do that. So it's just the time that I put into is just these little videos that I shoot and a little bit of editing. So I'm having fun with it. And I would say if anybody's thinking about doing a YouTube channel and they just haven't done it yet, no matter what it's for, but I mean, in the chainsaw community, everybody has a little something to contribute. You know, you got guys that are loggers, you got guys that are tree guys, you got guys that are just builders, just saw builders. And then you got guys that kind of do a little bit of everything, like me, for a hobby. You know, it ties into our hobbies in some way. So don't worry about what people are going to think or people are going to say. It's all making the community better. And we're all going to be dead soon anyway. So who cares? You know, do it while you're healthy enough to do it. And don't worry about if somebody's going to say that you're an idiot. You know, they're only saying that because you're doing something they're not. So go for it. That's all I got to say is go for it. But anyway, 390s. So this video is kind of like a build off. We'll just have some fun with it and call it a build off. This 390, I think it's a 2022. So it's a newer saw. It was crushed by a tree. I got it, repaired everything that was damaged on it. The guy I got it from said that it was ported from a shop. I have no idea who ported it. I don't care, but we'll call it a mystery ported job. Mystery porter saw. This saw was scored and I'm rebuilding, and I'm going to do some work to the cylinder. But unfortunately, when I took it apart, it had an aftermarket top end on it. So that is going to change the build plan quite a bit, and we'll talk about that when we go and look at the parts. But so essentially we'll go out, part 2, we'll go cut with them, have a little fun with them, and then see how they cut. Part 3, we'll come back, talk about them. This one I can't talk much about because I didn't build it, but we can see how it cut. And this one, and I'm not taking it apart again. I'm not taking it apart at all to go look at what the guy did until it needs to be taken apart, until it needs work. Then we'll go look at it. But I'm not wasting any time. I don't care what he did to it. This one, obviously we know what we did to it. We're going to look at every bit of it. So we'll know what was done to this one, and we can evaluate how did it cut, what would we do different, if anything, and hopefully learn something and have some fun while doing it. So let's take a look at the piston and cylinder. All right, so the piston started out at 114 grams. And after going in there and cleaning up, casting inside there, and this work that was done to it, we're now at 107 grams. So we took 7 grams off of this piston. This is a Meteor piston. So this is, I think it's Italian. I think these are still made in Italy. And the cylinder, I don't know its origin, if it's Taiwan or China. Hopefully it's Taiwan. They make a pretty good cylinder. But I don't know how to identify between the two. So we dropped 7 grams off the piston, and still left quite a bit of upper ringland and crown thickness on there. All right, so our starting point was 75, 98, and 126 128 because the primary, this is a true closed loop quad transfer, quad loop transfer. So the secondary was at 128, the primary was at 126. So then we cut 4 degrees off the base and cut 4 degrees off of the crown or the squish band on the piston. You can see how that's kind of got a dome to it now. I just do that to try to increase compression. So that put me at 79, 98, and 126, 128. Then I went in, I took a lip off the bottom of the intake port and did some piston work and ground the secondaries up even with the primaries. So then that put me at 82, 98, and a true 126. So our blowdown is long at 28 degrees. And our case pumping, the amount of time between of suction and compression in the case, our case is at 44, which is good, I want a lot of velocity. So a lot of things, really I just tried to leave a lot of velocity in this cylinder, and we'll go over all those details. So let's look at the cylinder. So let's start with, let's just look at the transfers because that's really the most important part of this. I always say the transfers, they're more complicated, but they're the most important part. And they're also the most challenging part to do because of the finesse work that you have to do to it. So the lowers were opened up slightly and matched to the case. So, which was very important because there was a couple millimeters of overlap between the case. It would be like sitting on it like this. So the case was overlapped on the lower like that, like about 2 millimeters. So it was a very important gain there to get those lowers opened up. I opened up these lower transfers a little bit, kind of put kind of a radius into the edges here where it goes into the cylinder. Don't touch anything out here. We need that to make our gasket. So I just kind of worked with what I had. What can I get out of this? So then I on the uppers, I went and raised. Get the light in the part right here. I raised this secondary up even with the primary. And I don't want to touch this bridge right here and how thin that is. I didn't touch that on either side. Remember, the plating on an aftermarket cylinder is not quite as good as an OEM. If this plating chips right here, that is so thin. If that plating chips right here, this is a very wide area for that ring, to ask that ring to stay into the piston. So if this plating chips, that piston's going to fall out, or the ring's going to fall out of the piston, and it's going to start catching, and it's just going to eat itself alive right there. So that's why I chose kind of the less is more approach to this build. I worked everything from this point over to the left because I want to really get this secondary dumping and boosting our charge up to create our loop scappage. So both sides, same thing. They're both raised up even and widened slightly to the right. because on a Husqvarna, we don't have to worry so much about ring end because our ring end's all the way back here. So, and on this cylinder, there's no way I'm putting any kind of boost ports in or anything like that. I don't like that at all for this cylinder. So that's really the story on the transfers, a little bit of size and shape on the secondary upper transfer port. On the intake, I really didn't do anything besides I took a lip off the bottom right here. There was a pretty significant lip right here that probably put about a degree or two of time into the intake, but that lip had to come off because we have to get this down. We have to get this charge down first before we can go up, because these are bottom fed transfers. So it has to go down here before it can go up here. It doesn't do me any good to send it in any other direction. You know, a lot of times you'll see, you know, shoulders or lungs or fingers or whatever they call it in these intake ports, but I want all of that velocity directed straight down into the case. It doesn't do me any good to send it here, in my opinion. So that was it, other than running some sanding, a drum sander through the intake port. That's it. I didn't do any grinding on the intake or the exhaust. The exhaust I hit with a quick polish, and I went in with the drum sander again and just nipped the sides, maybe a millimeter on the sides, not a lot, and then just went through, tried to smooth it all out. Again, there's plating all in here. I'm not grinding all this plating out, because that would raise my exhaust, and I don't want to raise my exhaust beyond 98. So that's it, and then gave it a quick polish. So that's the build. It's kind of a half-assed build. I only ground one upper transfer. I didn't do any grinding on the intake and exhaust. So it's kind of a half-assed build. I'm going to try to make a lot of power with the timing numbers, with the machine work, ignition timing advance, and fabricating a straight pipe, a straight header pipe, so that with that long blowdown, we can really get some velocity ripping in that scavenging process, and just try to give it every ability to suck that incoming charge into the combustion chamber in the shorter amount of time that we're going to give it. So that's the build. Nothing crazy, pretty basic. Let's put the saws together, and then I'll see you for part 2.